What is up, YouTube? This is Chris, the Unprofessional Dad, and I'm back with another knife video. Over time, I've gotten several requests for a specific type of video. I've thought about doing it, and I just wanted to wait. I wasn't ready for it yet. There's a lot of things to consider, and I'll get into those here in a minute. But last night, my sister Beth, we was talking on the phone, and she's like, hey, I could really use a video like this, and I think there's some other people that watch her videos that I know personally, her friends and stuff, that have been talking to her, and they was like, we'd love to see something like this. And it's a video on self-defense and knives leaning towards or designed for self-defense. And that's exactly what I'm going to do today. I'm going to talk about some of my knives that I think would be great options for self-defense. But before I do, welcome to my channel. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I appreciate the fact that you've clicked on this video to spend time with me and my knives. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, guys. So again, I've been asked before about doing this, and I mean, I've dived into the whole tactical aspect of it a little bit with law enforcement, military stuff like that. Knives that are leaning towards that type of use. But self-defense, I kind of stayed away from a little bit, and I'm going to explain to you why. But I have gotten a lot of requests. So after she said that, I decided, yeah, okay, I'll go ahead and do that. But here's the reason why I hadn't done a video like this before. There's so many different things that you have to consider when you're talking self-defense. You have to consider who the person is. You can have to consider what their experiences are. You have to consider what type of environment they're in. You have to consider the fact, have they had any training before? You know, there are so many times where people, especially untrained people, whether they be women, men, young people, old people, whatever, they will buy something that makes loud noises thinking that that is going to be an end-all be-all type of situation. Oh, I've got this thing now and I'm good and it's going to take care of everything. And man, let me tell you right now, that's the last thing it is, and that's the worst perspective to have, especially if you ain't trained. Especially if you ain't trained. I've heard of situations where people have them taken from them. People have them used against them, and they're their own items, and they pull them out and think they're going to scare somebody off, and they don't know what they're doing. I also know that that's a situation to where if you ain't trained, you hear all the time, oh, from 50 yards, I'm a dead one. A dime from 50 yards. Let me tell you right now, I'm very experienced, and I've had to prove that to people before, targets and stuff like that. And I know what I can do, but I also know how much practice it took to get there. You'd be surprised. 20 feet, 20 yards. Hopefully you all know what I'm talking about. I don't want to talk and say the words and stuff because I don't want to get flagged by YouTube. But 20 yards, you'll be really surprised how hard it is. I mean, you'll be all over a paper target and never hit what you're aiming at. Knives are a little different. Knives are something you have to get in close. Knives are something they can still be taken away from you, but they're a little bit easier to use. Knives, though, also have their downfalls. Knives are something that you have to carry, you have to practice, you have to work with them, you have to learn how to sharpen them, you have to, you have to go digging for them and find them and pull them out, different things like that. There's a lot of different things that you have to consider when you're talking self-defense. So it was basically what I'm saying is there's a lot to get into when you're talking self-defense, that it just wasn't something that I really wanted to lean people towards, because I don't want to be somebody, hey, this right here, this is something you need to get for self-defense, and then they get it, and then they get in a situation and they have no idea what happens, or it don't work out that way, and they're like, Chris, I thought you... So that's one of the things. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things that are my perspectives, and then I'm going to show you some knives that I think would be great in certain situations, as long as you are somebody that is wise, you consider the right things. You always remember it's better to get off the X than it is to fight on the X. So if a situation ever happens that's a self-defense situation, It is always better. I don't care how brave you are, how tough you are. You don't see Navy SEALs and Delta Force sitting there trying to, when somebody attacks, God forbid, the main man in the country, that we vote on every 4 years. When somebody attacks him, they don't sit there and try to fight it out. They get off the X. It's always better to get out of the situation than it is to prove a point, regardless how tough you are. But here's a couple things that are my perspective. If you are stuck in that situation, there ain't no getting out of it immediately. You've got to deal with the situation. The very first thing that I would recommend that every single person has for self-defense is that right there. See that? See what that does to you? Does the same exact thing when you've got it in your hand on somebody. Boom. They're done. They can't see. It's going to take them a second for their eyes to adjust. Now, in that time, you can run away. In that time, you can make a strike. In that time, you can do something else if you've got something in your hand. You can do whatever you need to if it's that type of situation. You always have to measure the situation. Is it somebody that's coming up that's just, you're kind of scared because you're in a bad situation. You really don't know what's going on, so you're a little panicked. You might mess up and do something you should not have done, and you're in trouble. Or is it really a situation to where you are needing to deal with this threat immediately? That right there is always the first step. And I'm telling you, you do that, it's going to take them a couple seconds. They're discombobulated. They're blinded. They can't see. Even when you turn it off, they still have that spot in their eyes. They're trying to get themselves. That's going to give you some critical time, critical moments where you can have to either, A, run away, or like I said, B, make some aggressive moves that you might need to do to deal with it. Now, here's the thing. There's these things that rhyme. They have the numbers .22 in them that make loud noises. And people say, oh, you don't ever want to use that. All you're going to do is tick people off. Let me tell you right now, I don't care who they are. If somebody gets stuck with a .22 a couple times, they're going to stop what they're doing. I don't care what they are. People, oh, you're just going to make them mad. Whatever. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Somebody gets hit with that, they're going to stop what they're doing. They're going to seek cover. They're going to stop. They're going to back off. Now, I'm not saying it's going to end them. I'm not saying they're never going to threaten anybody again. I'm saying in that situation, it's only going to take one or two and they're done. Same exact situation to where if you've got something and you just blinded somebody and you just give them a little love tap, they're probably done. They're probably done. Most likely, they're going to stop. They're going to back off. They're going to leave. So that is the very first thing that I would recommend, a flashlight. Now, I'm nobody special. I was in martial arts for a long, long time. I'm pretty skilled with my hands. I mean, I was never in the military or anything like that. But people that know me, and I'm telling you right now, that's the first thing I'm doing every time. I'm using a flashlight. Now, another thing, especially if you're a woman, that you need to always carry. And I'm not saying that you need to have it in your purse. If you're going outside, if you're walking to your car, if you are leaving the grocery store and it's dark, you're at a gas station, you're pumping gas. They've got those rubber coil-like things that you can put keys on and stuff. I would have one of those, have a neck one, whatever. It would never leave my hands unless I was in a completely safe situation and environment to where I no longer needed it. And the number one thing that I want to have on that coil, right there, a whistle. I'm going to tell you right now, bullies and thugs and perpetrators are like water. They choose the path of least resistance. So if you give them a love tap, they're going to probably back off and they're going to seek somebody that's easier to bother. So if you're in a situation to where you are being bothered, if you're not even sure, you're just questioning it. Like somebody's approaching me. I don't know what's going on. It looks a little odd. And you start blowing that whistle really loud. If they are up to no good, they're probably going to turn around and run away. Or they're going to be like, hey, what is going on, lady? I was just going to ask you if you knew where the directions was to the gas station or something like that. Or I was just going to ask you if you had 50 cents. Nefarious people, though, are probably going to not want the attention. So when you start blowing a whistle, you're going to get a lot of attention. So that's the first thing. And the second thing that I would have. I would always have a very bright flashlight that is charged, whether it needs new batteries in it, whether you have one that's rechargeable, and you need a whistle. Those two things alone, a lot of times, will solve your situation. Am I an expert? Absolutely not. But I'm 50 years old and I've got common sense. Now, another thing, before you even start getting into knives, we all carry ink pens. We all carry ink pens. Ink pens. Ink pens can do a lot of damage. You don't always have to have a blade on you. You don't always have to have one for that. Not only can you use a lot of ink pens, have you never seen Jason Bourne, the first Bourne Identity? I mean, what he did with an ink pen is pretty daggone cool. Now, I'm not saying I could do that or you could do that, but I'm saying that an ink pen can do damage if you know where to write on somebody. Another thing that is similar to an ink pen, pry bars. Cool little pry bars. They look cool, they're neat, they're not alarming, they're not threatening, they're just an EDC tool. But you can get pry bars like this one right here. It's got finger choils on it, finger grooves, so it has a nice little fit. This is a pry bar, but guess what it's similar to? Just a little love poke. Just reach out and say hi to somebody every once in a while. Sometimes you just want to say hi, and sometimes you might need to. And something like this, it's easy. And the great thing is if it did get taken away from you, it's not going to pose that much of a threat. But you could pull it out, and if you did need to, last minute, last resort, this is something. A pry bar is something cheap, easy. If you lose them, whatever, no big deal. But it is something that you can store in your purse. You can keep it on a keychain. Doesn't look like anything. It's non-threatening. Nobody would ever assume anything. But if you was in a situation where you had to wrap your fingers around it really quick and say hi to somebody, you definitely could with that. And it ain't going to feel good. Now, sticking along the lines of that, there are other things that you can get off of Etsy. I got this off of Etsy. This is a steel spike. This is no blade. It has a sheath here, Kydex sheath. You can put this in a boot. You can put this in a purse. You can put this down in between your seat of your vehicle. You can put it wherever. They're not heavy. They're not that big. I mean, they're long, so they take up some space. The sheath and stuff does. Extremely sharp point. And from a long way away, they look like a chopstick or an ink pen or whatever. You would never think that if I had this in my hand from somewhere a long way, if I was just twirling it and I was worried about somebody that was approaching me and I was just looking at this like this, they're going to be like, are they looking at an ink pen? And they would not know until they got up to me that this was a razor sharp spike that is meant to poke the bear, so to speak. This right here you can get off of Etsy, 25, 30 bucks. They have a million different ones. Different people are making these. You can get all kinds of them. You don't have to have a blade for self-defense. You can get these with finger rings. You can get them shorter. You can get them longer. You can get them that baton out. That's another thing. I didn't bring a baton in here. I have one around here somewhere. I have a baton. Take that baton, sling it out, boom. Law enforcement carries batons for a reason. Riot control carries batons for a reason. It's not anything that's going to do any lifetime damage unless you really catch somebody the wrong way across the melon. But you go to swinging and whacking like you're Babe Ruth, somebody's probably going to leave you alone. You got to remember with these things right here, you're not 20 feet away, 20 yards away, where you can engage and you can take care of a situation. You are up close and personal. You are more of a hands-on. The threat is upon you. So anything that you're dealing with right here, you really have to be careful and know what you're doing, know how to use it, because it can be taken away from you. It can also hurt you when you're using it. You can literally pull out a blade, mean to hurt somebody else, lose grip or control of it, or in the melee you're swinging and stuff like and you cut your own arm or something, and now you're bleeding profusely and you pass out, and they don't even got to do anything anymore. They're just going to let you lay there, and now they're just going to rummage through your purse because you've done all the damage. They came up to borrow 50 cents, you overreacted and panicked. Now they're getting everything you own, and they never touched you one time. So there's dangers to all this stuff, and you have to think about that. All right, now that I've got all that out of the way, let's actually talk about some knives that you can use for self-defense. I'm going to talk about folders, then I'm going to move on to fixed blades. All right, so I would recommend and suggest that if you are somebody that is newer to self-defense, or if this is only something for self-defense, that you might not need to spend a whole lot of money on it. At the end of the day, these are pieces of metal that have an edge on them. So you can do that with the kitchen knife if you wanted to. I could tell you a story of a guy named Nick Chastain. I was in the 7th grade. Nick Chastain was in the 7th grade. And there was some bullies from high school that messed with Nick Chastain every morning when we went to Kingston Elementary School, when we had to switch the buses from the morning buses to the buses that took us to the middle schools and the high schools. And every day, these older kids, because Nick Chastain was a popular, good-looking kid, and there was this older girl that was messing with him. I remember her name too. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to get sued. But she was flirting with him. He was flirting with her, and she had a boyfriend in high school. And every morning they bothered Nick. And one day he came to school. Y'all remember Trapper Keepers? And it was a bad morning. That whole place got locked down. I remember. Let's just say his mom and dad was missing next time they had steak dinner, they was missing one. You know what I'm saying? And everybody at school that morning knew where it was, though. It was a bad situation. So you don't have to spend money on one of these. You can go that route. It's going to do the same exact thing. But if you want to spend money, there are things like this SOG. This is the SOG Aegis FL. This is a relatively affordable $20 knife. Extremely razor blade sharp. Sharp point, sharp tip, a thin knife, steel handle, razor blade sharp. This is a self-defense tactical knife. This is a knife that's got jimping, thumb studs. It is not fidgety. It's got a pocket clip on it. It is not fidgety at all, but it's got decent action on it. The big thing is it's got a sharp point with a razor blade edge, and they're only like 20 to 22, 23 bucks. So they're really affordable, but they're pretty sturdy. They're well made. They're frame locks, and ultimately, it's a beater knife. It's a throwaway knife. It's extremely thin blade stock, because there's one thing that this is made for. This is an EDC knife / self-defense knife, tactical. Something like this would be great. The SOG Aegis FL. If you lost it, if you broke it, if you threw it away, if you had to do something with it, God forbid, and then you didn't want no evidence and it had to get tossed in a lake or something, you know what I'm saying? You're only losing 20 bucks, 25 bucks. The SOG Aegis FL. Fantastic little knife right there. I'm telling you, this is a really good one. Now, women might not like this because it is a little bit heavier. It is a little heavier. Something that women might like, though, is the CRKT M16 models. Now, they have these to where they're really small like this, the O1S, or they have them where they're bigger versions. They have them where they're flat brown, flat earth tan, or they have them black with satin finishes, or all black blades, or whatever. They have them Tonto tip. They have them drop points. They have them spear points like this and dagger style like this. They have a ton of different versions for the M16. A ton of versions for the M16 because they've sold so many M16 models. They keep coming out with new versions of it because this is extremely popular. This is a small, lightweight, easy to conceal, easy to hide, very low profile. Look at that. It's a small, low profile knife. Boom. You can literally, this is right in my hand. The average person would never know it. Right in my hand. I'm just sitting here thinking, pondering. They're walking up on me. I'm pondering. Last minute, boom. I'm ready to go. Whatever I need to do. Pretty daggone sharp. A good point. Remember, again, it's the difference between poking and slashing. You're not wanting to slash. You're wanting to poke. Poke, 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 poke. It's a lot easier to slashing. A lot easier to just start poking. Poke, 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 poke. And that's going to poke. And it's going to ruin a waterbed, let me tell you. That will ruin a waterbed. I got a funny story about a waterbed, too. James Johnson and thumbtacks in a waterbed. That was the funniest prank I've ever seen. It was also uncalled for and unnecessary. We ruined a perfectly good waterbed, but we all laughed for 3 weeks for that. He did not see it coming. All we heard one night was him go to bed, and all of a sudden he just starts screaming and cussing, and we all knew, yep, he went and laid down in his waterbed. Here is a really cool little dagger style knife. This is the Kershaw Barstow. This is an assisted knife. I would recommend that anybody that is not trained and don't have a lot of experience with knives get in either, I would probably stay away from automatics, and that's why I didn't put any on the table, because they look cool, and for the right person, they're great. But for the untrained person and stuff, stay away from them. They can do more damage than they can good. But an assisted knife is going to be easier to do quick deploy with. It is going to be speedy, fast. This has got good handles with texture on it. It's got a deep carry pocket clip. It's smaller, so it will hide away in your purse or in a pocketbook or whatever. Pretty easy. Down in a pocket or a back pocket or whatever, in a hoodie, whatever is small. Boom. And then it pops out. And that is a dagger style blade. Another knife, I think the Barstow is, what is this? 39 bucks? 40 bucks for the Barstow. You could probably get them way cheaper than that on Amazon. $30. $30 to $40. Another knife, a dagger style, so it's only got one side that's sharp, not both edges. It's not a double-sided dagger, it's only one side, but you can definitely slash and do some poking with this. Great knife. Another knife that if you had to throw away or lose or break it or whatever, it's not going to break the bank. Another efficient and affordable knife. You can get this at Walmart right now. This little Gerber. Honestly, I ain't even going to lie, I forgot the daggone name of this thing. Forgot the name of it. It's got serrated blade on it, so you can actually do some cutting rope and different stuff like that. But this is a very lightweight little knife. It's got a button lock on it. You can get them without the button locks. Just pops into place. It's extremely thin, very lightweight. Get them at Walmart for $30. It's a Gerber. Nothing to write home about, but you can put this in your pocketbook. You can put it in a back pocket. It's low profile, and when you need it, you can jerk it out, slash, poke, whatever you need to do. If you go to Walmart or look them up online, Gerber, serrated blades, you'll see this. Trust me, I can't. I'm sorry, guys, that I forgot the daggone name of this thing. It's just been so daggone long since I've had this out to look at. One of the most popular is the Emerson. I showed this the other day. All of your Emerson CQC. Now, women probably, this is another one that women probably won't like because it's going to be a little bit heavier. Not saying that women can't carry the heavier knives and stuff, but this is a heavier knife. Now, this is actually designed for tactical applications. A lot of law enforcement, military like the Emersons for a reason. A good Tonto tip. And Tonto is always going to be, in my opinion, your better version blade for self-defense because it has a stronger piercing blade. The drop point with the sharp point and stuff like that, but a Tonto tip, it's not only going to, it's going to have a wider spot where it pokes. I mean, it's because you got that much blade right there. That whole thing is going in at once. That kind of makes no sense because an entire blade's going to do that, depending on how wide the blade is. And again, all these things are worst case, last case scenario. God forbid any of this stuff ever happen. Run. Get off the X, like I said. Don't stay and ever try to prove a point or fight it out or let's work on this, guys. Let me teach you a lesson so you don't ever do this to somebody else. No. Let somebody else teach them a lesson. Get off the X, flash them in the eyes, and blow your whistle and run. That's the best thing. All this stuff is a moot point if you ask me. But here's a great knife. The Emerson CQC. Kubi Carved Nest. Another Tonto tip blade. These are a little bit harder to find. You got to order these offline and stuff. These aren't going to be sold at your Walmarts or anything like that. I don't think they're sold at Cabela's or anything, not Kubi. But you can order these offline. Now, if you want to talk about spending some money, there are a couple knives that you can spend on folder knives that are going to have some better options. They are going to be great knives, but they cost some money, but they're awesome. These are a little bit more investments, but they're going to last a long time. They're going to do what you need them to do. And again, knives that law enforcement and military use. The first one is the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, the PM2. I said Para 2, the Paramilitary 2. This thing is in S45VN blade steel, has a compression lock, 4-position pocket clip. Look at that slicey blade. Look at that. You want to talk about good in the hand, good feeling in the hand. This is something you could jerk out of your pocket, throw it into position really quick, get a good firm grip on it, and just hold it. That's a good long belly right there. So you can do a lot of slashing, poking, piercing, whatever you need to do. That is a good tactical self-defense blade right there. That is awesome. Now, these are going to cost you about $200, give or take $10, $15, depending on what model you get. But worth every penny. Worth every single penny. Those who know carry Spyderco for a reason. Military uses these. Forgive my fingerprints and stuff like that. But fantastic knife right there. Fantastic knife. That is a good knife. Good knife. Got your little thumb ramp right there. This thing is sweet. Compression lock, easy to use, easy to carry, great action. Throw it in a position, boom, right there. One other one I'm going to show you because I talked earlier about having a knife that is assisted, because assisted will jump into place really quick. All you got to do is just give it a little nudge on the flipper and it's going to boom, pop right into place and be ready to go. And these knives are extremely tactical and extremely popular. And it is the Kershaw 0350. Look at how much belly is on that. There is so much cutting edge right there. This is a slicey blade, very slicey. It's got a flat grind, a good point, a good swedge, so it's good for piercing. It's a liner lock, full steel liners, textured G10. Excellent thumb ramp right there with jimping for your thumb. This is a knife that's going to cost you some money, a couple $100, $190, something like that. But let me tell you, this knife, it's bigger, it's heavier, but it is efficient. This is a fantastic, look at that, jumps right into place, ready to go. Right into place, ready to go. A little bit heavier, but this is a knife in 20 CV. It's going to last you a long time. It's going to have good edge retention, good toughness, and all in all, just a fantastic blade. That grip in the hand, that goes a long way. Because if a knife doesn't conform to your grip really well, it can slip out, it can be taken from you, whatever. But when you've got a good firm grip on it because of the contouring and the indexing, You wrap it up, and I mean, boom, you got a good firm grip and you don't let go. That right there is what it takes. And you just start going to work. Just say hi. Just be a nice person and say hi a few times. They're going to appreciate it. They're going to be like, it's nice to meet you. Probably going to want it to be a short encounter, but they will walk away knowing who you are. And that right there, that knife is going to help do that. All right, now let's move on. And I'm going to speed this up really quick. Let's talk fixed blades. Fixed blades are the way you need to go. Absolutely. In my opinion, I showed you some folders because you needed to have some options. If you wanted to have something you can hide in your purse, something small, out of the way, pull it out and use it if you need to. But honestly, you need a fixed blade. The reason why is because you don't have to worry about deploying it. You don't have to worry about opening it. You don't have to worry about it closing on you or anything like that. You don't have to worry about a liner lock, assisted, anything like that. Thumb studs, whatever. All you need to do is pull it out and it's ready to go. Benchmade has a great one. It's the Sock P dagger. I don't have one. I need to get one. It's called the Sock P, S-O-C-P, Sock P dagger. It's fantastic. It's literally just a little spike with the finger ring at the end. Has a little sheath. You put it in. It's designed to go in between breastplates of vests and stuff, or down in your belt buckle, or not belt buckle, but down in your belt and stuff. You pull it out and just put your thumb to that finger ring and just start going to work. You know, Ginsu knives are popular. Those are great cooking knives and chef knives. And the Sock P, you can do a lot of maestro work, or maestro, however you say it, using a Sock P. But other versions that are far more affordable and cheaper is like this dagger right here that comes with a little sheath. This is the Smith & Wesson rubberized handle, so it's not slipping out of your hand. It's got some thumb ramps you can hold it different pinch grips. This is a dagger style, one sharp edge, not both. Now you could sharpen both if you wanted, but it comes with one. This is the HRT dagger, and it's a fantastic little dagger. It's a boot knife. It's what I recommend it as. Just slide it down in a boot, but you can also slide it down in a purse, in the edge pocket of your purse or whatever. Put that there where it's formed or in place really good, and it ain't going nowhere. Reach in there, grab that knife, and pull it out. You don't have to worry about flipping, opening, nothing. You just go to town. Just close your eyes. No, actually, I'm joking. Never close your eyes. That's the worst thing you could ever do. But you just pull it out and you go to town. That right there. If even that's too big for you, then K-Bar has several little skeletonized, very lightweight boot knives. These are all K-Bars. You can get different versions. They all have these little molded plastic sheaths. They're all extremely lightweight, skeletonized. They will fit anywhere. They will hide. You can wear them as neck knives under your blouse or whatever. And if you ever need it, just yank, pull down. It'll come right out and you're ready to go. Boom. There you go. Different versions, different looks, neck knives. These are all K-Bar skeletonized boot knives or neck knives. Now, I recommend something smaller like this. It's small, it's lightweight. This is the Mantis Sabo 4. And I'm not wanting to overwhelm you. All these will be linked in the descriptions. Any of them that catches your eye, run with it. The link will be in the description, and there you go. Something like this is going to be great for smaller hands, but it's got a finger ring, so you literally don't have to worry about dropping it. It ain't going nowhere. It ain't going to be taken from you. Ain't going to. Now, if they try to grab your hand to take it from you, guess what's going to happen? They're going to get their hands cut all to pieces, because this is razor blade sharp. And while they're trying to grab your hand, you could just be wailing and flailing and stuff like that. Change your grip up, you know, however you wanted to do it. There you go. Put it through your pinky. Now you're just a straight on, whatever, slash, whatever. Small, a full tang blade of Bowler M390 blade steel. That ain't no joke. That is premium blade steel right there. Excellent edge retention. Very, very thin tip that I wouldn't use for anything except for a little bit of poking and piercing, if you know what I mean. That's about it. I wouldn't use this for anything else. It's going to snap off. But it's better if it snap off in something, if you know what I mean. Good right here. Put your thumb on here and literally just go to town. This is the Mantis Sabo 4. Red and black twill carbon fiber. Fantastic knife. $40 right here. Comes with a little Kydex sheath with a little clip. You literally can take this and clip it down inside the inside pocket of your purse. You can clip it anywhere you want. You can clip it next to you in your seat, on your car. You can clip it. You could clip this on your seat belt to where as you pull your seatbelt down, you always have a knife right there. God forbid anything ever happens. Somebody tries to reach in on you or jump in the passenger seat, boom, you got it right here, whatever you need. So you can use that clip for a million different things. But I'm just throwing that out there. It's not like I've ever seen anybody do that. But, there's a first time for everything in the words of the country music song. There you go. I think little things like this cold steel dagger, which is a Tonto tip, rubberized handle. This is Kyoto Light, or the Kyoto 1. It's got this polymer sheath right here, or molded plastic, or whatever it's called. Rubberized handle, small, fits down in between your car seat, fits down in your purse. Pull it out, rubberized handle, Tonto tip. It's a fixed blade, razor blade sharp. Just start poking. Pin the tail on the donkey. Right there. Fantastic little knife for self-defense. I'll show you a couple more and then we'll finish. I'm going to show you a couple more premium options, just like I did on the folders. I'm going to show a couple premium options that are a little bit more expensive. These are extremely good knives. They are built and designed for tactical, law enforcement, military, spec ops guys, self-defense, hand-to-hand, different things like that. These are going to be knives that are very, very good, but also they're expensive, so you have to know what you're doing because you don't want to lose it, you don't want to throw it away, you don't want to get it taken from you or anything like that. The first one I'm going to show you is this TOPS CAT. It stands for Covert Anti-Smearism. Right? It starts with the T. I know that YouTube don't like that word either. It'll flag you. But we fought a lot of them in Afghanistan and stuff, if you know what I mean. Smearist with the T. Fantastic knife. Kydex sheath. A great clip. Again, clip that in a purse. Clip it on your car seat, somewhere in between the seats, whatever. Clip it someplace out of the way. This is a little bit heavier, but look at this. Finger choils galore. Your fingers are going to index this perfectly. It's got a thumb ramp right here. You can use this for so many different things. It's textured G10 handles, so it's not going to slip. It's going to have good retention in your hand. 1095, so it's going to be easy to sharpen if it needs to be sharpened. Excellent, excellent knife. Probably for just self-defense fighting, the best of the three I'm about to show you. This is a fantastic knife. Now, this is a little bit more expensive. You know, you're talking 150, 160 bucks, maybe a little bit cheaper than that. I can't remember what I paid for this, but fantastic knife right here. Again, all you have to do is close it in your hand, get a firm grip, and start going to town. Michelangelo, when he created the statue of David, said he didn't create the statue of David. The statue of David was always there. He just chipped away the unneeded pieces. He just chipped away all the rock that wasn't part of the statue. The statue was always in there. He just took away all the outside pieces of rock that didn't need there to be there. All the unneeded, unused pieces, shed them away, get rid of them. Be Michelangelo. Shed away some unneeded pieces and find the David underneath, you know what I'm saying? And that's what this will do. It'll shed some unneeded pieces. This is the Spartan Blade Zalala. This is nice. Oh, this is nice. Maybe a little bit more user-friendly for women and stuff because it is just longer, pointier, thinner, lighter than this. Completely, way, probably 2 times heavier this is than this. So it's lighter, it's got more reach. Just, you know, another one with the molded polymer sheath. It's got a lock right there, so it's not going to slip out. You push that lock, boom, it pops right out. Razor blade sharp. This was designed by former Spec Ops guys. It's owned by former vets, or they're not former vets, they are vets. Spartan Blades is, so they know what to do. They know how to make a good blade. This is another one in 1095 Crow Van. This one's about 150, 160 bucks, right up there again. I think you can get it on Amazon for 110, 115. So they are affordable knives. I don't know what they are. I know that they're about 150, 160 on Blade HQ, Knife Center, but on Amazon, I'm pretty sure you can get them for around 110, 115. Big difference in price there. Excellent knife. Excellent, excellent knife. And the last one I want to show you is the one that is probably going to be the most user-friendly and the most efficient for smaller ladies, smaller hands, things like that. A knife that you can grab, just put it in your hand and start swinging. And that is the Strop Mini right there. Another one with the Kydex sheath. Put it in your purse. You can take that off or leave it on. You can use it as a necklace, a neck knife. You can put it in your car somewhere, strap it down. Just pull it out and start poking. 1095 carbon fiber. 1095 high carbon steel. Pull it out and go to town. It's got a great flat grind. This is a knife that will do some damage. And for a smaller hand, it's going to contour well. It's light. It's easy to hold. It's going to wrap right around your fingers like that. It's going to settle in and let you go to town doing what you need to do. There are so many different versions of these knives. Like I didn't show you because I didn't want to overwhelm you. I could have showed you this massive chunk of steel right here. The Cold Steel SR1 Light. This thing is gigantic. Look how big that is. This is a monster. This is basically a folding sword. These things are around 45 bucks, 50 bucks. They're 8CR. They're affordable. They're textured Grivex handles. A triad lock, so it's not going anywhere. It's going to lock in place and be excellent. You can get the Spartan Blades right here. The Astor. This thing is fantastic. There's all kinds of knives, but the ones that I showed you would do great. Whether you're looking at these folders that are really affordable, really cheap, different styles, or whether you're talking about these fixed blades, which honestly is probably much better off for an untrained person in a self-defense situation. I would recommend the fixed blades, but nothing. If I was going to tell somebody that absolutely, all right, right now, I'm going to design with what I've got right here, I'm going to show you how somebody can be extremely armed and never one time have a blade on them. But I tell you right now, they'll be lethal. Flashlight, whistle, this pry bar right here, and either this pin, which the whole frame is made out of steel, so you can do some damage, or this piercing spike right here. Right there. You've got $60 worth of stuff in your hands. That's it. All easy to use, all easy to conceal. It's non-threatening, but I promise you, it will do as much damage as anything else I showed you on this table. Ultimately, get off the X. The X is, if you look at a map in the military or law enforcement, and they want to raid or attack a spot on a map, they'll draw an X on that spot. That's the X. That's where they need to be. That's where the action is happening. So they'll say, we're going to foot it to the X. They're going to get off the X. That means they're going to leave that situation. So when I say get off the X, that means whatever situation you're in to where it's going down, it's happening. You're being attacked, you're being accosted, you're being robbed or mugged, you're just being harassed. Whatever it is, if you're in a situation to where you are not comfortable and you do not feel safe, that situation is the X. Get off the X. Get away. Do anything that you can to create space between you and the perpetrator. When you got space, now you can put your hands up. Now you can do the different things that you need to do. Now, if you need to, you can take off running. You can be blowing your whistle the whole time you're running, getting other people's attention. I promise you, there's a lot of guys out there like me and other men, Master Sergeant, Zach, all kinds of people on here that watch this show that I guarantee you, if they were in a situation and they heard a lady blowing a whistle and it's going down and they look over and they see somebody accosting them, that lady's going to be no longer in a situation alone. They are now in a fight with allies. I promise you, that's what that whistle is going to do. It's going to draw attention to people who are going to have your back and take up for you and take over so that you can get away. And that's ultimately what needs to happen. So oftentimes when we think about self-defense, we're thinking about how can we fight somebody? How can we defend somebody against somebody? How can we defeat somebody? And I promise you, the way you defeat the situation is by getting out of the situation, first and foremost. If I was telling my daughter, and my daughter can handle herself, and if I told her right now, if a situation like that happens, I'm telling you, don't you get out of that situation. I don't want to hear in no situation unless it was an absolute have-to situation. I don't want to hear you defeating no attacker or anything. I better hear about how you got away. Regardless, I'm Chris, the Unprofessional Dad. Hopefully you guys learned some stuff. There's a lot here. I'll link all this in the description. If you got any questions, hit me up. Remember, I'm no expert. I'm just talking from personal opinions and what little bit of limited experience I do have. So I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. I'm Chris, the Unprofessional Dad, and I'll hit you guys up the next time. I'll see you around. Sharp knives, happy lives, guys. Take care.